Hi, welcome back to our lesson. Let's continue with the second discussion, which is on the implementation on setting up the security and operation process. Okay, we have learned about the SOP, and now how are we going to set up? So, when you want to look into the security of operation, it must be based on the organization-wide policies, procedure, and also the countermeasure. Only then you can provide a very good SOP. And with the aim is to maintain the relevance and effectiveness of your infrastructure, and it must specify with the approved method and processes, and it must be followed by everyone to ensure the security performance, and it should be embedded as day-to-day workplace functioning. So that's the whole purpose of having the SOP. Okay, and to ensure that everyone follow the SOP, we must conduct the operational assessment. It's very critical, and when we want to conduct the operational assessment, it must come together with the method and metrics. So only then you can have quantifiable results that you can track and use as a benchmark, and also to know what's the status. And also for some measurement, it also comes with the certification. For example, like we have ISMS, we have COBE, and so on. So that will strengthen your SOP in your organization. Okay, and next is we want to discuss about the operational planning. Yeah, because it's a formal security of the operation plan, and it is very important for you to set this operational planning, because this will act as the point of reference, and also it will coordinate everything, and it consists of everything about your security and operation function, and it will focus on the effective deployment of resources, and it supports the budgeting process. Without a very comprehensive operational planning, it's hard for you to bargain for or request for the budget. Okay, and it also will make the security objective explicit, because normally people wouldn't really see the contribution of IT, right? Because it seamlessly happen, and it's like digital some more, and people cannot really see it. So if you have this kind of operational planning, you can explicitly shows where is the security measurement, where is IT plays a big role. Yeah, and it also can be served as the mechanism for assessing the contractual or regulatory obligation. Yeah? And it will help to organize the technical and management response, so we can provide the right set of countermeasure when anything happen in your organization. So this is the step when you want to develop the operational security plan. Okay, firstly, we must set the baseline. And how you're going to set the baseline? Refer back to the first note, which is you need to know what you need to protect. Okay, and we must determine the benchmark. You want to set the baseline against what? Normally we follow a standard or any reputable benchmark that is already established. Okay, only then you can establish the security architecture. Security architecture means you will assess the whole organization, and you will know what is the connection between the technology, application, data, up to the business. Finally, it will support the vision and mission of your organization. That is meant by the security architecture. And after that, we need to build the awareness from the top management until to all the users in your organization. Okay, and then step 5, we will deploy the supporting technologies, the technology that will support this operational planning. Okay, maybe you want to invest on the dashboard monitoring, or you want to invest in any security performance, and so on. This is the stage. Okay, And then after you have supporting technologies, you will start assessing the performance. Either or everyone follows the the security plan that you have introduced. And after that, we will determine how to take the corrective action. In case when you assess the performance, you see that there's some flaws or something that is hard for people to follow, or maybe your regulation is too loose. So this is where you will check and make a corrective action. And lastly, we will enforce accountability. Either it can be, you can predefine at the earlier stage, or if we see that there's no improvement, okay, when you assess the performance, so this is where you have all the facts and you can present it to the top management, and this is where you can enforce the accountability goes back to the business. Not to say that we don't want to take the responsibility at the IT department, but the accountability and responsibility of the security belongs to everyone in the organization. So you can use this plan to explain it very well, because it involves everyone in your organization actually. Okay, and the other part is about the operational response. Okay, when there is anything about the security, how normally you respond to it? Of course, we need to have a quick and fast response, and you must document all the response. So it involves everything. As we discussed earlier, it involves the sensing, analyzing, and responding principle. Okay, as long as it meets the security need, so that's the best solution at that time. Okay, and perhaps you can have the predefined response based on the history or pattern that happened previously. So you can prepare the predefined response. So it will assist you in making a quick decision at that time when something or incident happen. Okay. So what are the criteria of the effective reporting and response? Yeah, we can have the formal incident response team. We call it IRT, or the operational response team. So basically, it's more or less the same. Okay. However, it is, you need to have the response teams. Not until the incident happen, only you want to find who should respond to it. No, the what we call it, the committee or the team must be set up earlier on. Okay, and it must provide a very quick report. Yeah, and the report must be very comprehensive and it covers everything. Normally, what we practice is we already have the predefined template. So whenever incident happen, based on this report template, we will report the same in the same measure, and we won't miss all the important information. And make sure the response is also quick. Okay, and any incident should go to the central coordinator, because we want to listen to one instruction only when chaos happen, right? If there's so many instructions, at last finally no one taking any action. So we want to avoid that. And what happen when you want to anticipate all the potential incident? Okay, potential incident perhaps is the pre-attack probes, unauthorized access attempt, denial of service attempt, vulnerability of the infrastructure itself. So we can have a generic report, and the result is based on your routine data gathering activities. So whenever you have the log of your daily monitoring, you need to read it. Don't just neglect. At least you must go through the report, and when you are already familiar with the trend of the report, you'll know when something is not right happening, then because you know already how the report should look like. So it will trigger you, it will give you some sense for you to investigate further. So that's the purpose of that routine data gathering. Okay, and also the report also can be based on the analysis by software. Okay, that's why we need to do some software testing from time to time to make sure that the software work as it's intended to be. Okay, and report also can be generated by the intrusion detection devices, of course, yeah, because from there you can see the attempt or the attack from the outside. Okay, and that's where you will monitor through the logging monitor events, yeah. And what happened when you need to work with the active incident? Okay, the active incident, the action are detected by circumstances such as when you apply the technical path, you want to reconfigure, reinstall, or you perhaps need to change the policy or procedure, and you need to implement the new enforcement mechanism. Okay, so as the operational response teams, you need to know what's the harm from the incident and how to prevent it from it to reoccur. And also you need to supervise the change to the target system through the configuration management process, and need to perform the coordination and documentation of the activity needed. So this is the role of the operational response team whenever there is an active incident. Okay, so how can we have the good configuration management to ensure the continued integrity? Okay, so we need to have the formal procedure for the change management. Okay, normally we will keep track what are the previous state of that particular things, perhaps your infra or your network or your server, and then you need to record those version or evolution. Okay, because it's a critical component. You will able to predict the day-to-day functioning of the system, yeah, because you have the pre and post, and you are also has the ability to detect the unauthorized changes, because you are the only one who can do the configuration as it's supposed to be. Then we don't simply do the configuration management without any reason. So that's why it is important for you to always keep a snapshot of those pre-version and pre-version changes and the post-version changes. Okay, if anything happen or your configuration won't work well, you can always roll back to the previous version. That's also one of the reasons. And the other thing is, you need to always maintain the integrity of those items that you want to configure. And whatever it is, we need to allow for the evaluation and performance management. Perhaps when you do some changes, the performance drop, so you need to rethink and discuss with your team, with the owner of the system. Do you want to continue having this configuration management, or do you decide to stop and goes back to the previous state? And it must be established within the integrity of the system. Okay, when we decided to do the configuration for such behavior or to change just this part, so you are supposed to do that only, because whenever you have this configuration management, it always comes with a plan, and this plan needs to be signed by everyone that's involved, including the configuration manager. Okay, it can be from the security team or it can be from the data center team, depends on what configuration you want to do. And this is the baseline manager roles. Yeah, baseline manager will keep the accountability. Perhaps in some organization they have it like the project management project manager, or they might have the portfolio manager, or they might have the record keeper manager. But these are the person who control the version of your server or your any changes. Okay, and finally we have the verification manager. in a normal software development team, or when you involve in any projects, this role always go to IVNV, what we call it, the valuation and verification team, testing and verification team. It is also the quality team. They will check whatever changes, and they will have their own test script to test everything. Yeah. And last part is when we want to talk about the operational housekeeping. This is to ensure that your routine information processing activity are performed securely. Okay, such as there is the periodic inspection or compliance audit, and also we because we want to manage the managerial concerns, and we also want to ensure that we have the routine patches or repairs to the equipment and facilities, not just waiting for any disaster happen only then you react. So this daily or frequent operational housekeeping is very crucial. Okay, for example, we already have this SOP manual as a written document that lists the instruction step by step, and how to complete the job task, yeah, and how to handle this specific situation. So when you have this SOP in place, it means that you are ready to perform the operational housekeeping, because whoever join your team, once they read the SOP manual, they should be able to understand it, and they can perform it according to the manual. So that's the purpose of why we want to have this SOP. It can be manual, yeah, if you just have in a form of documentation, and a human being perform this operation, and over sometimes you can transform this SOP into automated procedure. Okay, this of course will require some investment of technology. Once this process is well established and it goes matured over time, and if you go back and check with the maturity model such as CMMI, this is where the operation become routine. Okay, earlier on is ad hoc. Yeah, you didn't embed it in the day-to-day work as a common procedure. Okay, and then it's become a routine already. It's become the common procedure, and the process later become a standard. And lastly, when you reach the most mature stages with stage 5, we can consider it's automated. And of course, automated means you will put it in a system as part of the automated system. So this is where the transformation from the manual SOP, you can make it as the automated SOP. Okay, so we must start with manual. Don't rush into having the automated SOP, because you need to really educate your user and make it as the culture in your organization first. If not, your investment in having this automated procedure might be at stake. Yeah, sometimes people can easily follow those automated procedure, but sometimes if they decided it's burdensome and they don't want to follow this procedure, people just might omit those automated technology. They can just ignore or disable it. So it's best if you can have a trial version by using the manual procedure first. Okay, so when you want to decide for the procedure, check back on the checklist. Okay, you must have a clear checklist, and you need to make sure that people understand what is the checklist is all about, what the procedure is all about. You must come with a clear statement of all the interrelationship in between the related procedure. Perhaps you want to have the procedure during the COVID pandemic, the work from home. Along with that, it will also apply with the VPN kan. Maybe some system your user can only access it using the virtual private network. So you also must equip the work from home together with the VPN policy, and maybe you allow the your staff, your user, to use their own devices. So you should also come with the BYOD. But since it's pandemic, work from home, no more bring your own devices. But perhaps it might say use your own devices, UYOD. Yeah. So you also must consider all those related procedure as a whole. Okay. So when we have a set, that's why we call a set of operational procedure. Normally, it's not one procedure only. It have a couple of procedure that will work together. Okay. This is how to ensure you will have a secure environment of the system. And when you want to create a procedure, it should consist of security function and both comply with the user, and also you need to think of you as the administrator. We assume that all of us now is the security officer, so you also need to think of your role, how you're going to assess, and how you're going to monitor this procedure. And perhaps if it involves the software or apps, yeah, so it's good to have the software engineering procedure as the routine operational testing. So whenever people use the system, you will know either they use it in a proper way or the system really works as is intended to be. Okay. And you must also include the simple processes such as regularly ensure the password are changed, definitely, and also you can have the checking of the system event periodically. Okay, maybe the system doesn't really log in and log out as it planned to be, and maybe the event log does not capture the log. Yeah, it's happened. Yeah. In one case that I audit, the event log unable to capture the log because the database is full. So it becomes it reject the saving processes, the capturing processes. So all the data is not captured for that particular log. Okay. And this is some example of the SOP. I believe most of you are also familiar with it. Perhaps you already have similar SOP in your organization as well. We can have like the data security SOP, the how to manage the security patches. Normally the security patches SOP only involve the IT department or the data center team, right? And the data backup, this is also involve the data center team. And then the personnel security discipline, it involves everyone in your organization. Yeah, the software maintenance perhaps is more on the data center or the developer team, and then the secure asset disposal. Yeah, this one is also important. Not everyone are aware how to dispose this asset, because even your hard disk, if it's contain precious information about your organization, there's a ways to dispose it. You can't simply let it throw it like that, or some more if it been stolen. So it's very dangerous. Yeah. And the safe use of electronic system, social media as well. So we must come with a proper SOP. Okay. And both BYOD and IoT. Yeah. And the cloud. Latest one is about the cloud practice. Yeah. And it's also still debatable. Either the organization should go for cloud solution totally, or they still need to have the physical server that they need to maintain. They can maintain by themselves. Yeah. According to the study, it all depends on your business and also the rules and regulation in your organization. Only then you can assess either you want to deploy the cloud solution or you decided to still have the physical data center as it is. Okay, so this is some example. When you want to set up the data security, I believe many of you already learn about the data quality, or perhaps later you will learn in the data quality course. So this is the essential process that you need to consider when you want to keep your data secured. Okay, and some example of data security technology are including the backups, the data masking, and data erasure. Okay, and the security patch. Yeah, everyone knows about the security patch. So you need to always be aware. Yeah, if you are the one who is responsible to do the patching, whenever there is announcement for the patching, you must reassess the condition and quickly, if it's okay, you must implement the patch. Yeah, because normally the patch come with some reason. The manufacturer won't simply ask you to patch unless there is already the threat or the sense any harms to the system, right? Okay. And the backup of data, yeah, there are so many ways of backup. Either you want to do incremental or full backup, and every backup must be consistent. It's already a schedule, right, for the backup. So this one also come with the SOP. You cannot simply say that today I want to do the backup, tomorrow I don't want, next year only you want to do the backup. No, it must be a routine and must follow the SOP. And this is the most crucial one because it's about the people. Okay, how to enforce the personal security discipline, because you cannot be biased. The discipline of the personnel in your organization should be equally treated. So that's meant by the integrity. Hence, everyone in your department, in your organization as well, need to attend the similar training, the similar awareness, and if there's any security breaches, the disciplinary action also must be the same across the organization. Okay, and the other part of the SOP that is also important is about to maintain your software. Okay, any software that your organization decide to what we call it deploy or implement, you need to properly assess it. Yeah, and make sure the software that you want to use within your organization is safe. That's the most important thing. There's no spyware installed in your organization software. Okay, and what about disposing the asset? There's already a SOP for that. Only that either your organization has a proper monitoring, or do you really do as it is? Yeah, so make sure everyone follow the SOP when you want to dispose this asset, because nowadays everything are stored in digital form. So it is very important to have this disposal of asset. So what about the safe use of electronic system? Previously we just have need to consider about the email or office automation, but nowadays you cannot control your staff of having the social media account, and it's really impossible. So what you can do is, whenever there is any interaction of your staff or the employee of the organization, make sure you also come up with a policy to say that in social media you must not mention or tarnish the company image, or if you want to post in the social media, it must be based on your personal only, not to relate with what you do in the organization, and so on. Yeah, to that extent you must explain to your what we call it, to your employee in your organization. And of course, using the office email to sign in any social media or in any shopping website is totally wrong, right? The office email is just for the office use. So if like you want to book the ticket for the vacation, or you want to have online shopping, the employee should use their personal email. That must be clearly stated in your SOP. And nowadays about the IoT, yeah, BYOD is become common nowadays, and everyone bring their own devices in doing their work. So now our concern now is more on the IoT. Whenever there's a connection from that IoT devices to your office network, so from the network security side, you really need to check on that which segment you want to open to the public to enable these IoT devices to hook up to your network, or which part you want to secure, which part you won't allow for the wireless connection of the IoT. Okay, because once these devices, IoT devices, able to go into your network and something bad happen to the devices, it can be the weakest link, the chain where the threat come in. Yeah. So this is some types, some explanation on the IoT cybersecurity attacks. All the network security attacks commonly happen through the IoTs nowadays. Yeah. So what you can do, of course, you need to have the secure IoT network. That's why in some organization they separate it. For the IoT network, they have the separate segmentation, and then for the secured one relate to the data center or server, or the one who deals with the privacy data, they have another setup of network. Yeah, and every IoT devices need to be authenticated. This is the most basic and crucial thing, at least. Yeah, or perhaps you need to use the IoT. No more wired. Everything is IoT nowadays because it's cheaper and it's fast. Yeah. So how can you transfer trustable data? So you can encrypt. Yeah, you can have the IoT data encryption here, and so on. So these are the top 10 IoT security solutions that you need to consider in case you want to implement the IoT solution in your organization. Okay. And another thing that people still debatable, either you want to have the full deployment of your infrastructure or your storage in a cloud, or you still want to have the traditional way of storing your what we call it data, and also hosting everything and using the normal server. It means that the physical server. So what studies advise so far, for the critical data, people still believe that it's better to keep those critical data close to your place. Means that having your own physical server and having the dedicated line right in your office. Although the security of the cloud keep improving, and the provider claim that it's already safe and there's no security issue, all are guaranteed, but so far based on what is happening, you also know, right? So it's best if you keep all the critical data close to you. Okay, and then some issues with the cloud computing as well. You can have the outage. Yeah, although they said that they have a backup server everywhere in Asia Pacific. There's a closest one, although their main hosting is in US or Europe, so they have the mirror here in Asia Pacific, but still the risk is there. Okay, so you need to really calculate the risk. Yeah, and then there's also the cloud sprawl, and some claim that it's a complex architecture. Perhaps for the network or the security officer, once you send it to the cloud, there it is. right? You don't have any control of what you store in the cloud and where it stores actually. So we don't really know about this architecture of the cloud. Cost, of course, when it first introduced, cloud solution is a little bit, not little bit, quite expensive. But nowadays it become less expensive. And this one, inability to monitor the cloud performance, yes. But again, it depends on the nature of your business. If your business don't really into the critical business, it's just what we call it, e-retailing, or you have the bookshop, or you conduct the tuition online, so it's good for you to invest in the cloud solution, because you won't have the headache in monitoring or controlling, managing your own server or solution, right? And some more, your services is more on daily things, don't involve a really crucial information, unlike if you're in the defense or you're in the banking industry. So you need to rethink if your organization is in the critical type of business. And then the legacy of architecture, because you cannot take the legacy of your architecture, this all set up to the cloud. Totally cloud is the new thing. So it's good for the startup and it's good for the new business if you want to have the cloud. But if you already have this traditional architecture and you don't want to sell, you don't want to stop it, you want to replicate and bring it, or duplicate and bring it to the cloud, so you cannot do so. Okay, and remote location. It depends on your connection. If you sit in the remote area and the network connection is not that fast, so cloud is not the best solution. So you might have your own server set up close to you, so you can have your own access to your server. Okay, so we reached the end of the topic 2 lesson 3. This is all about the SOP things. So thank you everyone. I hope you gain something